Hello, everybody. It's good to be with you here again. I want to thank you guys for bearing with us last week with our technology issues that we had. We are working out the bugs. So thanks for bearing with us as we kind of figure it out as we go along and everything. So today I want to talk to you all about competing attachments. So competing attachments are something that most cheating partners, whether they're dealing with an affair or an addiction, deal with. And then of course it has a tremendous impact on you as a betrayed partner. So I just want to talk to you about what this is and then how you can deal with it, some things you can do to help yourself with it. So we all know about the initial discovery of betrayal that happens within a relationship. But of course that is like absolutely devastating and horrific to kind of find out not only about the cheating, but always also the lying that goes with it, right? There's always those two pieces that are happening in any discovery. It's the cheating and the lying. So we all know about that, but the dynamic of competing attachments that is always present as part of that, and I'm going to tell you what that is in just a minute, but the dynamic of that often makes things over the coming weeks even more devastating for betrayed partners. It often takes the original discovery and the original wound from the first discovery and exacerbates it and heightens it because there are more discoveries and there is more pain ahead as the dynamic around competing attachments unfolds. So here's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about competing attachments. So for the cheating partner, when they are caught or when whatever happens that precipitates discovery, usually there's some kind of event where they get caught in the behaviors. When that happens, they are in a moment where they have two different attachments. They are attached to you as their primary partner, and they have a life with you. They may have children and financial houses and all kinds of financial stuff together and dreams and experiences and lives that you've lived with one another. So they have their attachment to you, and then they also have their attachment to either the addiction or to the affair partner. And that attachment is also very strong. It doesn't have the longevity often that your relationship with them does, but it has all the qualities of an active addiction, which we know is repetitive dopamine hits over and over again, or an affair, which also impacts both the attachment system and the pleasure system in the brain. So now there's these two attachments happening for the cheater, right? They're attached to you and they're attached to either the addiction or the affair partner. So when this happens, when they are discovered and they've got these two competing attachments, most people do one thing with this. Now there's like the few people who will, when they are caught, they will make a choice and they will choose to stay either in the addiction or with the affair partner. And they will leave their relationship and ride off into the sunset, kind of to do that. There are some people who do that. And there may be people here in the group who have had that experience. So I'm not saying that that does not happen, because it does happen sometimes. The majority of the time, what happens though is that the cheating partner tries to figure out a way to keep both attachments. So this is an initial phase that almost everybody goes through post-discovery. And I kind of want to help you guys identify this phase if you're in it or if you went through it, and things that you can do, language that you can have around it, and things that you can do to help yourself with it. So in this phase, when the cheater's been discovered, they have these competing attachments, and now you, of course, as the betrayed partner, are saying you got to give that up, right? Like, I can't stay in a relationship where there's another woman or there's another man or there's an addiction, right? You have to choose. That's what most betrayed partners are saying. In the moment of discovery and in the weeks that follow, most cheating partners will try to preserve both attachments. So what they will do is they will, with their spouse or significant other, they will talk about what they've done. They will share details about it. They will apologize profusely. They will go to therapy. They will make big attempts to calm the partner down, address the partner's pain, and really try to get the relationship back to normal as quickly as possible. So they'll make a lot of promises during this time. They'll promise that they've told you everything there is to be told about it, that kind of thing. They've told you all the details, you know everything, right? They're going to say that because they're trying to preserve their attachment with you, and they're trying to preserve the relationship, and they're trying to get the relationship back on track in some way. So that's what they're going to be doing over here with their other attachment to the addiction or to the affair partner. Often what they're doing there is they're also trying to hold on to and preserve that attachment. So this looks different ways. Like, so for example, you could have somebody who has gotten caught, right? And so they have stopped the affair and they have stopped the sexual acting out behaviors, but they've really only stopped it all temporarily. And once things calm down over here in the primary relationship, back they go into the acting out. So that's one way that that can show up. Another way that this competing attachment and managing it and maintaining it can show up is they stop the affair or they stop the sexual acting out behavior, but they don't tell the truth about it all. So they've stopped the behavior and they're trying to repair things over here, but they're also lying about the extent and scope of the cheating, the extent and scope of the behaviors. They're trying to keep it hidden. And by trying to keep it hidden, it sort of acts as a stash and something that they could maybe eventually go back to. So that's another way that that shows up. So over here, with this attachment, they're trying to preserve it or to keep it or to at least not have to be fully honest about it and about the extent of it. So what this means in the relationship is you've got the cheating partner. They're in this dilemma now, right? They've got these competing attachments. You as the betrayed partner are saying, choose me if you want the relationship, right? And they are now trying to take care of you, help you feel better, save the relationship, while also maintaining their connection to either the affair partner or the addiction in some way. So what happens in that is that there's often rounds of more discovery, right? There's going down the road a little bit, thinking you've dealt with it, thinking that things are better, that they've been honest with you, that you know what there is to know. And then you find out, oh, no, there's more to know. There's a lot more to know. Or, oh, while they were telling me it was all over and everything, they were actually still texting with this person over here, or they were still engaging in these behaviors over here. They were still doing stuff even though they were telling me that they weren't and that it was all over with. So what unfolds during this phase of things is this staggered discoveries. And for you as betrayed partners, what that means is the initial discovery is painful enough, but these staggered discoveries undermine any ability to trust, because you already discovered that there was cheating. You had a big conflict in the relationship that goes on and on, right, about it. You're saying, I can't live with this level of dishonesty. And your partner's telling you that they're being honest while they're also continuing to lie to you and continuing to act out. So I actually think that it's during this phase that a lot of the damage gets done. I mean, it is damaging. The initial discovery is damaging. There's no doubt about that. But post that initial discovery, to then go through more rounds of betrayal and more rounds of lying, I think it's particularly damaging for betrayed partners because they're in excruciating pain. They're in excruciating pain about the initial discovery. And there's this sort of breathtaking, what? That the cheater could see you be in that level of pain about what they've done, and then they could still keep doing it, or they could still keep hiding it, or they could still keep lying about it. So even though they know the pain they're causing you, they are still holding on to this attachment with the cheating partner or with the addiction. And that takes the breath away of partners, right? That knocks the wind out of you, because it's a sense of like, how could you possibly see that you're causing me this much pain and then do it some more? So I personally think that a lot of the damage is done in this phase. Now, that being said, this is a pretty normal phase that almost everybody goes through. And here's why. Even for the cheating partner, it's a normal phase. And the reason for that is we do not break our attachments lightly or easily. And that's just the way we're wired. We do not just, boom, break off our attachments. And quite frankly, for people who are able to do that, it's actually not usually an indication of health in them. So if you think about, for those of you, like let's say for those of you who have left your relationship, who have left your significant other in the wake of betrayal, it took you a bit to get there, right? You had to weigh a lot. You had to think about things. You had to process things emotionally. You had to get yourself to the place where you could leave. And that is normal. When we are going to break a significant attachment, we have to get ourselves to the point where we can do it. So same is true for addicts and for those who are having affairs. They are now in a significant attachment pattern. For addicts, the addiction has often become the relationship that their life revolves around, and it's the primary way that they're coping with life and managing their emotional selves. For people who are caught in affairs, the affair has taken on an enormous amount of importance for them and has enormous meaning for them about who this person is to them, how they feel about themselves in relationship to this person, etc. So breaking these attachments is something that takes time, and it's actually the way we are wired that it takes time, and it's normal that it takes time. The problem with it is that when that is going on and then there's continued lying and cheating, it's incredibly devastating for you as the betrayed partner. And enormous amounts of damage happen during that. So if it's normal to have to take time and space to actually break attachments, to actually leave attachments and make a choice, because what every cheating partner, every addict has to do is they have to choose, right? They have to choose between you as a betrayed partner and their other attachment. They don't get to keep both long term. But what happens for them in the beginning is they try to, until they come to the point where they realize, I really have to break this attachment. So they have to come to a recognition that all the sneaking and lying and hiding, etc. in the world is not going to work here. They are going to have to choose. And they're going to have to either walk away from the affair or get sober with the addiction and deal with the addiction to keep their relationship with you. Or they can choose the addiction and they can choose the affair and lose you. But they're going to have to choose one way or another. They're going to have to make a decision. And it isn't until they come to a point where they recognize that they need to make a decision and where they're sort of backed into I'm going to have to make this choice for real, that they will often make that choice. They often have to come to the place where they recognize they're going to have to go through the pain of breaking these attachments in order to stay in the relationship with you. And that's when they will get willing to then go through that, because it's a hard process. Any loss of attachment is enormously difficult and involves grieving and involves coming into the pain of loss. That's hard for betrayed partners, right? Because it's almost like another wound that this person would need to grieve the loss of an affair or grieve the loss of an addiction, something that has caused you such enormous pain. But again, the way our attachment systems work and how we're wired is when we lose a significant attachment, we do have to grieve it, and it is a loss for us, and it does cause pain. It affects our whole body. It affects our attachment system. So cheating partners, addicts have to go through that process of learning to be sober, letting go of the affair, and really breaking that attachment pattern. And they're going to go through feeling the loss. They're going to go through withdrawal. They're going to go through craving. They're going to go through all of those things that accompany doing that. So how do we, as betrayed partners, if you think about yourself as a betrayed partner and what you're caught in this, how do you cope with it? Like, what do you want to be doing during this phase of things, or at the end of this phase of things? So a couple things. One, you want to know what you're dealing with. So the talk I gave last week about the difference between infidelity and sex addiction, you want to know which one you've got going on, right? You've got to be really clear. You don't want to be kind of letting yourself be talked into the idea that this is just infidelity if what you're actually dealing with is an addiction. So you want to be really, really clear about, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. You want to get appropriate help and support on board. You need it, the cheating partner needs it. Both of you need help and you need treatment with somebody who knows what they're doing. And then you as the betrayed partner, you're going to want to sort out what your very clear bottom lines are within the relationship. And your bottom lines are, if this, or this happens, I can't stay in the relationship. So these are things that are relationship ending for you if they continue, if the behaviors continue. So you may need help kind of figuring that out and sorting out what they are, and then creating appropriate boundaries around the bottom lines for yourself. So you're going to need to do that. And here's the trick with that, is that they have to be real. So it isn't until you are really clear with what your boundaries and bottom lines are, and you're able to do what you say you're going to do, that you are really holding a bottom line. So what I mean by that is, if you have said, if you act out with another human being again, if you go live with your addiction again and you have sex with somebody outside of our relationship again, I am not going to be able to stay in the relationship with you. I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to separate. I'm going to take some steps to move toward potentially leaving the relationship. If that is a bottom line that you have set, and then your boundary is, if the bottom line, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, if you have sex with somebody outside of the relationship, that's the bottom line. The boundary is, then I will have to separate, or I will have to see a lawyer. I will have to leave the relationship. There's your boundary. The boundary is always around your behavior, not somebody else's, right? So if that is your boundary and your bottom line, then you have to really mean it. So you have to have the ability to actually leave the relationship. You have to have the ability to actually separate if that's what you've said. If you don't have the capacity, if you don't have the strength to do it, if for whatever reason you can't really do those actions, then what you've done is you've really just made a threat rather than set an actual bottom line or boundary. So you're going to want to get help and support around setting these and knowing that they're things that you can really keep, that you can actually do them. And don't say them if you can't do them, right? You want to say only what is true and what you really mean when you're setting boundaries around things and when you're setting bottom lines. So you want to be able to hold this boundary and this bottom line, and then you want to give the cheating partner or the addicted partner the space to grieve the loss of the attachment. So the scenarios, the couples that I see do the very, very best with this phase of things, and honestly the very best long-term with recovery, are the couples where there's been discovery, there's everything I've already said that has happened, right? And then the betrayed partner is very clear. They're very clear about, if this happens again, this is what I'm going to do. And they mean it. They are actually able to do it. They actually have what they need within themselves to take the steps that they've said they will take. And once they have said that and communicated that to the addicted partner or to the cheating partner, they then sort of back off, detach, and give that person the space to actually grieve the loss of the attachment and make their choice. Make the choice about it, grieve the loss of it, and let it go. And that is really important because, again, like I said, this does have to happen. There does have to be space for them to actually let go of this other attachment. And so you do, as the betrayed partner, need to be really clear about, if you don't let go of it, this is what will happen, because I can't stay in a relationship like this. And then once you're clear and you've communicated that, you give some space for them to actually do the work that they need to do in order to let go of that attachment. So here are sort of the two things that you don't want to do around this competing attachment issue. One is, you do not want to stay in this phase long term. So I have seen a lot of clients over the years. I've seen different people who stay in this phase for months on end and sometimes even years on end, where the cheating partner just keeps the other attachment alive or the addiction alive. So they might cut off one thing, but then 6 months later they're back with a new partner or back to acting out again. Or they've said, no, I've stopped the affair, and then a year goes by and they start another one, or they go back. That is just kind of the ninth circle of hell, right? As a betrayed partner, to be stuck in this ongoing repetition where the person just keeps going back to this other attachment. So that's the worst case scenario. You want this to be a phase that you go through, because unfortunately it just is a phase of dealing with this kind of thing. But you want it to be a phase, and you want to move through it, right? You want to get through it. You don't want to stay stuck in it. So often when people are stuck in it, it has to do with the betrayed partner not knowing how to set a really clear boundary and a really clear bottom line that they actually know how to maintain and follow through on. And as a result of that, the cheating partner is able to continue trying to hold on to both attachments. They're able to stay in that place where they try to keep you and keep the other behaviors as well. And so it's really important that you as a betrayed partner have the ability to set a bottom line and set a boundary around this, because it does sort of force the cheating partner to choose. Now, that being said, you have to be able to tolerate them choosing the other attachment. And I think that's where a lot of betrayed partners get stuck, because it feels so scary to say, if this continues, this is what I'm going to do, because what if they choose this? What if they don't choose you? And I think because of the fear around that, and I would even say for some people, the terror around losing their relationship potentially, betrayed partners can end up staying stuck in the relationship and sort of allowing, not holding their boundaries, not holding their bottom lines, being susceptible to believing the lies about, oh, no, I'm all done. I've told you everything. Nothing else is going on, because they have such fear about losing the relationship. So that's sort of the worst case scenario, that you can get stuck in that for a really long time. So one of the things that the Braving Hope program does and is designed to do is that if you feel like you're sort of stuck in that place where you're unable to tolerate the thought of losing your attachment to the cheating partner, and you don't feel like you have the ego strength or the capacity to do that, to take that risk, and because you can't take that risk, you feel stuck in the relationship with them and stuck in your inability to set boundaries and that kind of thing with them. If that is true for you, then the Braving Hope program, we do a ton of work around that step by step helps you build your capacity to be able to make those choices and really mean what you say. You cannot stay, if you are in a relationship, if you are staying in your relationship only because you can't leave, then you're staying from a place of being stuck. It's staying from a place of powerlessness. You have to be able to leave your relationship to really choose to stay in your relationship. So if you feel like, oh, I'm stuck in this place, then give us a call and talk to us about the program. We're happy to talk with you about it and just also help you think through what's going on for you around this stuck point that you might be in with your partner. And if you don't feel stuck and you feel like, oh, this resonates with me, I've seen this happening, then work with your support people on setting boundaries, setting bottom lines, and really then giving your significant other, giving them room to grieve the loss of that attachment, but while making it very clear to them they do have to choose. Like, you're not going to be willing to just stay in this ongoing hell of them having you and having the other thing as well. All right, so I hope that has been helpful for all of you, and I will see you next time. Thanks.